Greetings, my name is John Lovering and I have been a member of Portsmouth Public TV for 5 years, and I'm currently the audio and video editor for 2 programs, True Tales Live and Living and Learning with Disabilities. It is my pleasure to share a personal Christmas story with you that I call All Mom Wants for Christmas is Some New False Teeth. In December 1957, I was in the 3rd grade. I lived in Keene, New Hampshire with my father, mother, and sister Carol. We lived in a nice but modest home just about a half a mile from Wheelock Elementary School, where I was in the 3rd grade, as I said. My father worked for a printing company. He set type, which means he worked with little tiny lead letters using magnifying lenses and tweezer-like tools. He sat at a stool much like Bob Cratchit and would arrange the letters into a metal form to match the words that a customer wanted printed on paper. Once the letters were in the correct order and spaced properly, he would lock the form. The form was then checked by an editor to make sure everything was correct, and then sent on to the printer, who would attach the form onto the printing press that would ink the letters and begin the printing on paper. They used to print mostly business forms for banks and companies, checks, balance sheets, order forms, and such. My father worked 40 hours a week, and he was paid about $4,200 a year. Now, each year, at Christmas time, if business had been good, the owner of the company would give all the employees a bonus. The amount was based upon how much profit the company had made during the year. Well, the Christmas of 1957 was a pretty good bonus year, because I remember my father coming home with a $100 bill in his weekly pay envelope. I had never seen a $100 bill, and the way my father acted, I don't think he had ever seen one either. He passed it around, and we all got the thrill of holding that $100 bill. I remember that he told me that at the start of World War II, he was only making $13 a week, so I could understand the excitement of the bonus check, or bonus bill. It was a bill, we got to hold it. It was so exciting. My mother worked as a dental assistant. The office was located above Sears and Roebuck's store in Keene. And in those days, dental assistants were trained by the dentist. They were not like today's dental hygienists. I remember when I was in the 1st grade, my father brought my mother home from work one Saturday afternoon, and she had a lot of cotton in her mouth, and it was full of blood. And as a 6-year-old, it scared me to see her like that. It seems my mother had contracted a disease of the gums called pyorrhea and had to have all her teeth removed on one appointment. She was only 33 at the time. What does all this have to do with Christmas? Well, I'll jump back to 1957, about 3 years after my mother had her teeth removed. False teeth were expensive back then, just as they are today, and my parents could not afford the best teeth. The dentist my mother worked for did not make false teeth himself, so even though he recommended a couple of companies that did, my father just couldn't afford them. They were too expensive. So the solution was that my mother ordered her false teeth through a magazine ad, and when they came, they did not fit well. So she used to hold them near the stove to soften the gum part of the false teeth, and then she would try to mold them herself so they would fit tighter onto her gums. I have vivid memories of my mother doing that many times, but she never could get the teeth to fit that well. I believe it was late October of 1957 or so when my mother was talking on the phone to one of her 4 sisters, and I was standing beside her and noticed that she had put her false teeth on top of a hot steam radiator. She was apparently trying to soften them so that she could adjust the fit. Now, while I was standing there, I noticed that some of the teeth had started to pull away from the plastic gum, and it actually started to drip slowly down the side of the radiator. I pulled my mother's sleeve a couple of times, maybe more, and she scolded me and said, "I'm on the phone, just a minute." I said, "Look at your teeth." She glanced over toward the radiator and let out a muffled yell and just hung up instantly, quickly tried to rescue what was left of her false teeth that were now totally ruined. I remember she was trying to put them back together, and her eyes filled with tears. I went to my room because I was sad to see my mother so upset, and I didn't know what to do. When my father got home, she showed him her teeth, and he was not happy that she had let that happen to them because, as I mentioned, they were quite expensive to replace. I don't know what the exact conversation between my parents was, but my mother was not able to order any new teeth until the middle of November, when they apparently had saved up enough money to do another magazine mail order. This time the company sent her some wax, and she was to bite into it, and that left a mold, and they were going to try to make the teeth fit better by following that mold that she returned. So she sent the mold back, and then the wait began for her teeth to arrive by mail. Thanksgiving came. We had it at home. My mom didn't have any teeth at that time. Then December. And she began to get nervous because it was taking so long for the new teeth to arrive. You see, my mother had 4 sisters and a brother, and we were all getting together for our annual family Christmas party on Christmas Eve at my grandmother's house. It was a tradition with all 13 of my cousins and my 12 aunts and uncles, and December 24th was coming fast. Each day, when the mailman came, my mother would rush out to the mailbox to see if her new false teeth had arrived. But day after day went by, no teeth. Holding her hand in front of her mouth, she told the mailman, who had been our mailman for years, that she was looking for a package from whatever the name of the company was to arrive soon. What I do remember was that around December 22nd, I saw my mother sitting on the stairs going up to the second floor of our house, looking out the window to see when the mailman came. Once again, she rushed out. No package. December 23rd, one day before the family Christmas Eve vacation, or celebration, I should say, I found my mother sitting on the stairs. This time she was crying because she was too embarrassed to go to the party without her teeth. I remember feeling very sorry for her, and there was only one more chance, and on December 24th, the mail came, and out the door she went. No package. She was sobbing really hard. I hugged her and said it would be okay, Mom. My father came home from work and he had that $100 bill from his bonus. He was happy about that, but then he saw my mother and tried to comfort her. He said that she said that she could not go to the Christmas Eve party. She was too embarrassed to have people see her, and that the teeth probably wouldn't come because Christmas would be the next day, and she probably wouldn't have them for a while yet. She was very upset. Now, I do not remember the exact time, but somewhere around 5 or 6 p.m. there was a knock at the front door. My father opened the door, and there was the mailman with a box addressed to my mother in his hand. He said he was on his way home from work, and then went back to see if the box had arrived in the last delivery truck that had come in late. He found the box, and he stopped by our house to deliver the package, and even though that was after his shift, his working hours, he did it on his own time. My mother hugged him, and my father offered to give him a tip, which he would not accept, but he did have some homemade cookies, and I think he had a little drink of something special called Dad's Christmas Punch. The teeth fit my mother quite well, and we went to the party. She was smiling a lot. I think she was showing off her new teeth. That turned out to be a very Merry Christmas, thanks to the kindness, compassion, and dedication of our mailman, who knew all my mom wanted for Christmas was some new false teeth. That's my Christmas story. Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and let us hope for a healthy and happy New Year. Thank you.